I'm Steph Strickland with GeekWire Studios. We're here today to talk to you about how wonderful gets done. Performance made flexible. I'd like to introduce to you our panelists. Heather.
Hi, my name is Heather Morrison, and I head up the SAP Global Marketing Experience Centers.
And Mayor Wurtzner.
Hi, I'm Eckert Wilzner, the mayor of a wonderful city in Germany. It's called Heidelberg.
Thank you for being here. And Kai.
Yeah, I'm Kai Wusso. I'm head of digital transformation with SAP.
Okay, Kai, my first question is for you. Can you describe Intel's and SAP's partnership, please?
Well, to be honest, for me, this started in this room like a year ago when we sat in the first lockdown, and we thought about how can we, start our life again. And so we were all searching for an alternative to lockdown, and that is how we came up with this whole concept of pandemic cohort management. And with Intel, along the road, we came into discussions on how to handle private data of people. Because the idea to come out of the lockdown essentially requires us to have a lot of risk profiles, individual risk profiles of people, and of collective risk profiles of groups that want to meet, right? So prior to the meeting, we try to assess how risky is this going to be. And then all these data, parts of them at least, need to be shared. And so we talked about confidential computing and trusted execution environments to Intel. It became very technical, but in the end, we did find really the optimum solution. And that's what we are working on with Intel now since a couple of months.
I want to talk more with you about what makes this unique then, and what does the third gen Intel Xeon Scalable processor plus Intel SGX really mean for the customer?
So in layman's term, as I said, the ultimate end is to better manage the risks of human activities. So now this sounds very abstract, but what is it all about? In the end, if you and I want to meet in person, or the group here present today wants to meet in person, everybody has its single and individual risk profile. And with the pandemic, that is about what have you done during the last 2 weeks? Whom have you met? Have you been to a concert? Have you been to a religious service? Have you been to a school or business meeting? So all of these activities need to be managed. And what we do is we do this before the meeting or before the event happens. We do this during the event. So we optimize how to conduct such activities. And then if something goes wrong afterwards, because we are digitizing the whole thing end to end, we can very quickly break the chains of infections because all of the facts are digitized already. So people from the health department doing contact scouting can, do it automatically, almost automatically, and isolate the people that need to be isolated to break the chains of infections. Now, all that said, as you can imagine, this requires to share some data about what you have done, what Mayor Wurtzner has done, about what Heather has done during the last 2 weeks. And we don't want to do that. We don't want to share this data, but we want to manage the risk. So for that matter, with SGX, the safeguard extensions of the new Xeon processors, we have the ability to encrypt those data. So you keep those data in your wallet, encrypted there, and then it's being safely encrypted way into the server that does the collective risk calculation. And on that server, it's being encrypted on the CPU level. So it is never shared. So everybody else is doing encryption at rest on your device or on transport, as we call it. So, the HTTPS things on the browser, right? So that is on transport. But as soon as information is on servers, typically it's unencrypted because it needs to be used by CPUs. With the new Xeon CPU, the CPU itself remains the data encrypted, so it's safe end to end.
Kai, I appreciate you explaining that in terms that I can understand. Mayor, I have to ask you, what got you excited about this solution?
I think we're all looking for such wonderful tools, which gives us the security that privacy is one of the leading points which are integrated into such programs. We need the data, but we don't want to give the data to everybody. So we need the data secure in our wallet, and this is exactly what SAP is trying to hand out with Intel together. And I think this is exactly what we need. This is future-oriented, this is innovative, and this is a step out of the closing structures in our city and a perspective for the citizens.
Heather, this is a great opportunity for you to now talk about the SAP Experience Center.
Yeah, so the SAP Experience Centers, they are our state-of-the-art customer innovation space where customers come and collaborate with SAP. They meet with us, we inspire them, we engage with them. And I mean, obviously, when the pandemic came around, we kind of went from hosting customer meetings on site to having to change everything to virtual. But at the back of our minds is, okay, what happens when everybody starts coming back? And that happened last June. We started reopening again in Waldorf, in the SAP locations, and started getting requests for customer meetings. And so we had to, change some of the rules and regulations based on everything that is happening. And we had to make customers and our employees feel safe when they come to Waldorf for a customer meeting. And so we have implemented the different rules around wearing masks, social distancing, the hygiene rules, but we also have to collect data and information on all participants because we have to be able to contact someone up to 2 weeks after a meeting in case anything happens, which everybody hopes doesn't, but that is part of what we need to do. We have to be GDPR compliant. We have to make sure that we have that data available, but that it is safely and secure and available. We then locked down again, but we're now going into the phase of reopening, and things like hybrid meetings are becoming relevant, and looking at what kind of a meeting would be the best type of meeting to take place, where this solution will help us to say, can we have everybody on site, and in what format can we have everybody on site? But we have to make sure, as I said, that the data is secure, and the Intel SGX solution allows us to have that data available for us, but have it in a safe and secure format. And we can still make sure those meetings take place, that everybody feels like they're coming to SAP, it is a safe environment. And if the case is that they can't come, then we set up everything virtually, and we can have a virtual meeting the way it has been in the past. So we have to be very flexible also with our solutions going forward in what we offer.
What amazing work in a big realm that has such impact really across the globe, particularly in the communities where you live and work, but you can certainly see how important this is. So Kai, I have to ask you, this is well documented as a fantastic proof of concept, but how do you deploy this? What are some of the deployment options?
So as I outlined earlier, it is about digitizing the whole kind of ecosystem of any human activity. So if you want to visit a restaurant, it's kind of the same treatment as if you want to visit a school, a university, if you want to visit somebody in a hospital, or if you want to have a business meeting at Waldorf in our headquarters, right? So it involves a lot of different kind of people, although in the end, the basic logic is always the same. You have to understand what is the individual risk, what would the collective risk look like, and how can you optimize that, and make sure that everybody mutually shares the little pieces of information that are needed, as little as possible, so that everybody can feel safer. So that's kind of the idea. And with Heidelberg, we are able to set this up so that we have, all these kinds of different use cases and different roles. Because, in its detail, it will be different if you go to a restaurant as opposed to you want to visit a swimming pool, or if you want to go to the university. So in its details, it will be all different. And that is what we are going to test out, also including the health departments, so that they can also understand from their end and how much better they actually can handle this whole process than from their side.
Thank you so much for the work that you are doing. Thank you to our panelists for joining us today. If you would like to learn more, you can check out Intel's Partner Pavilion at the URL you see on your screen. And that is how wonderful gets done.